Yo, when I deal with OG Wooly back at it again with another video for the peeps there. And the topic today is farming. Farming is one of the most fundamental tasks that you need to ensure that you take on when you're playing a game like Monster Hunter Wilds. Farming is necessary because it provides you with the materials that you need in order to sustain survivability. Now I'm gonna share my farming build with you guys. It's not the best, but I guarantee that it will definitely get the job done. Alright guys, so let's talk about the very first piece of gear that we're gonna need in order to craft this build, and that is the Wu Vambraces beta. Now, in order to craft the Vambraces, you're gonna need the Wu Hide Plus, you're gonna need the Golden Carnium Plus, Wu Claw Plus, and Wu Fang Plus, and you guys can see how many of those you're gonna need for the Vambraces. The Vambraces, they come with 3 Decos slots and they come with earplugs level 1. Now, earplugs level 1, or earplugs in general, it's not a skill that is a necessity for the farming build. However, for me, it's my preference. It's my preference because it is a skill that allows me to farm more freely without so that I'm not worried about the monsters roaring while I'm gathering. So if I'm picking up, let's say I'm harvesting a bone pile and I'm near a monster, the monster sees me and then he decides to roar, I'll not be affected by that roar. For most monsters, especially if it's a case where I can get that earplug skill to level 2. Level 2 nullifies most monsters' roars, not all, but most. So that's my preference for having this skill. So the next piece of equipment we're going to talk about, it also belongs to Wu, and that's the Wu Coil beta. Now this equipment, or this piece of armor, it also comes with 3 Decos slots, and it comes with another level of earplugs. Also comes with heroics. We won't have any use for heroics. I'm just more focused on the fact that I can get my earplugs to level 2, and I have those nice Decos slots where I can put the decos in to ensure that I can optimize this build to what I want it to be. So in order to get the coil, we will need, let's see what we're gonna need here. We're gonna need the Wu Hide Plus, we're gonna need Wu Claw Plus, and we're gonna need the Guardian Secret Feather Plus. And you guys can see how many we're gonna need in order to craft this piece of equipment. Moving on to the next piece of gear that we're gonna need for this farming build, guys, and that is the Azuz Pants Alpha. Now, the Azuz Pants Alpha also comes with 3 Decos slots, and it also comes with 3 levels of Geologist. Perfect piece of equipment for a farming build. In order to get the Azuz Pants, we're gonna need Azuz Tanned Leather, and we're gonna need Firestone. Alright guys, so the next piece of equipment that we're gonna need for this build is the Sild Hood Alpha. The Sild Hood Alpha comes with 3 Decos slots, and it also comes with 3 levels of Botanist. Botanist is also one of those skills that is a necessity for your farming build. That skill and Geologist, you have to ensure that you have those skills maxed out for your farming build in order to have the most optimal build possible for your farming, right? So further down into the video, I'll break down what each skill does so that you guys can get a better understanding. But for now, we're just gonna go through the necessary gear or equipment needed so that you guys can have an idea. So in order to get the Sild, or to craft it, you're gonna need Sild Cotton, and you're gonna need Guardian Secret Feather Plus. The last piece of gear that we're gonna look into as it relates to crafting, and that's the Melahoe Jacket Alpha. Now, the Melahoe Jacket Alpha comes with 1 Deco slot, and it comes with 3 levels of Tool Specialists. No, Tool Specialist, guys, it is also one of those skills similar to earplugs where it's not a necessity. However, it is my preference to have Tool Specialist, and I'm gonna break it down and let you guys know further down the line why I have a preference for Tool Specialist. also there is also a group skill that is on this piece of equipment that is called Forager's Luck. I have 3 other pieces of equipment that has this group skill on it, and I'll explain to you exactly why I decided to go for this piece of gear as well. Now, in order to craft or to forge the Melahoe Jacket, we're gonna need Great Hibiscus, we're gonna need Guardian Secret Feather Plus, and Light Crystals. Alright guys, so we're now at the level where we're gonna focus on what each skill does, as well as the deco slots. Alright, so currently we have Max Tool Specialists, we have Botanists, Geologists, Earplugs, and Heroics. Now, we're gonna forget about Heroics because, as I said, that's not a skill that is needed for this build. I have 2 specialists maxed out, and that is because I'm getting 3 levels from my chest piece, the Melahoe Jacket, as well as I have currently maxed out the tool specialists for my charm, my talisman. So it's a bit of an overkill, but you know, it's not a perfect build. There's always room for improvement, so I'm open to, you know, to suggestions from you guys as well. So yeah, so let's get down to it. So let's talk about the botanist. So botanist increases the quality of herbs and other consumable items that you gather. So what this simply means, guys, is that you'll be getting a +1 or +2 of that specific item that you're gathering. So if you're gathering honey, instead of getting 2, you'll get 3 or possibly 4. Okay guys, so the next skill that we're going to talk about is Tool Specialist. So as I said earlier on, Tool Specialist, it's not a necessity. However, it is a preference for me because Tool Specialist reduces the recharge time for your specialized tools. And your specialized tools include the mantles that you carry with you within a hunt. So for me, I have my Rocksteady mantle that I have, but we all know that the Ghillie mantle is a mantle that is mandatory. So for me, whenever I have my Ghillie mantle equipped, I can feel free to use it whenever I am in the presence of a monster to keep me hidden, so that I am free to gather what I need to. If it's a case where I am on the grind as it relates to gathering materials, whenever my Ghillie mantle runs out, with Tool Specialist equipped, or with Tool Specialists in my loadout as it relates to skills, that process of the Ghillie mantle cooling down it's a lot shorter. So it works out for me whenever I'm farming or whenever I'm out trying to gather my materials. Our next skill, which is earplugs. Now, we spoke about earplugs earlier. Earplugs grants protection from large monster roars, and we can see what level 1 to 3 does here. Based on my experience, as I said, guys, I think earplugs level 2 it's all you need, especially if it's a case where you decide to have it within your farming build. Level 2 should be enough to nullify most of the monster's roar. If not, it will definitely shorten the recovery time that you usually need whenever you are recovering from a loud monster roar. So level 2 is all you need for this build, and as I said, it's not a necessity, it's just a preference for me. The next skill that we're going to discuss is Geologist. Now, Geologist increases the number of items you gain at a gathering point, and what this simply means is that whenever you're gathering from a mining outcrop or from a bone pile, you will get an additional gathering item from those specific locations. Now, I made mention earlier of the reason why I had 3 specific armor pieces within this build. That is the Sild Hood, the Melahoe Jacket, and the Azuz Pants. So the reason why I have these 3 pieces of gear is because with these 3 pieces of gear, you will get a skill that's called Forager's Luck or Imparted Wisdom. Now, Imparted Wisdom or Forager's Luck, it increases the chance to find rare gathering points. So let me break down what Forager's Luck actually does. Forager's Luck enhances your ability to locate rare gathering points during your expeditions. These special gathering points are visually distinct, often marked by a white sparkle effect. These gathering spots offer a higher chance of yielding rare items or increased quantities of materials. Alright guys, so that covers the base skills that comes with the armor set and talisman. So now let's equip these decos to optimize this build. Now this is what the build looks like when it is complete. This is the full farming build, and we will go through the additional skills or the additional decos that gave us the skills so that you guys can understand why this build is the way that it is. Okay, so let's discuss the first deco that we have slotted in, and that is the flash deco or flash jewel, and that will give us the blindsider skill. Now, blindsider, it improves the effectiveness of flash attacks and items. This skill is not a necessity guys, but as I'm saying, it's a preference for me. I am trying to optimize my build where I have a lot of freedom in order to farm. If it's a case where I need to get in and get out, I can do that as quickly as possible with maximum efficiency. So for me, with the flash jewel, with blindsider, if it's a case where I need to flash a monster in order to get away, or to give myself some more time to finish getting some farming done, you know, I have that option with this jewel. The next deco that we're going to talk about is the Ranger Jewel or the Ranger deco, and that gives you the skill Outdoorsman. Now, Outdoorsman, it improves fishing, grilling, and transportation abilities. Now, I really think that this skill is a necessity, or this deco is a necessity, especially if it's a case where you're trying to get that achievement where you need to get those whoppers. I think it's 30 whoppers or 50 whoppers. You guys can just correct me if I'm wrong, but those whoppers need to be caught in order to get that achievement, and this skill works like a charm. It reduces the time in which the whoppers actually bite your hook so that you can catch them a lot more efficiently. We have also placed a botanist or botany jewel inside of this build so that we can max our botanist skill at level 4, which will give us the best quality of gathering herbs and other consumable items needed. Now, Intimidator reduces the chance that small monsters will attack you after they have seen you. Now, this can be a real pain sometimes. I know I have experienced it where I am mid-gathering and a small monster just decides to attack and they stop my progress or they slow down my progress. So what this skill does, it will prevent them from attacking you, especially if it's a case where you have level 3. Level 3 prevents the monster from engaging you even if you have been spotted. So they'll keep their distance, which will give you the freedom that you need in order to gather whatever is within that specific area. Now let's talk about adaptability guys. Also another skill that I would recommend, but it's not a necessity. Adaptability grants protection against environmental damage such as the heat and the cold. So sections of the cliffs, sections of the oil well basin, you will be completely immune to the environmental change if you have this maxed out at level 2. Alright, let's talk about the entomologist skill. Now, entomologist comes from the specimen jewel. Entomologist allows you to harvest small monsters without their bodies being broken up into pieces whenever you have attacked them. So you guys can do that test on your own. Try to attack small insects without entomologist and you'll notice that there's a huge percentage of the time where their body will disintegrate based on the damage that you have done. But once you have the specimen jewel equipped, that will give you the entomologist skill. Majority of the times, if not all the time, their bodies will stay intact, which will give you the opportunity to gather materials from these insects. Let's talk about the aquatic oil silt mobility skill. Now the aquatic oil silt mobility skill, or AO mobility as I call it, grants resistance against impairments to mobility while in water, oil silt, or streams. This skill can be obtained by equipping the Mara Walker Jewel or Mara Walker Deco, and what this does, it just gives you better mobility as you traverse through rivers, streams, and the oil silt that is located in the oil well basin. Alright, and last but not least, we have the cliffhanger skill. Now the cliffhanger skill comes from the climber jewel, and this decreases stamina depletion when climbing on vines. It reduces stamina depletion while climbing by 50%. So that is also a deco or skill that you guys can look into as well. Yeah, and that should cover all the skills needed for this farming build, guys. One thing I should make mention of is that the weapons don't really matter. Whatever it is that you're most comfortable with as it relates to weapons, you can equip it. For me, based on the nature of the sword and shield, based on its mobility and its defense, it has great offense and defense, so I went for this. If it's a case where I need to defend myself quickly or at an instant, I can do that. If I need to attack, I can do that as well. So great offense and defense, so that is why I went with the sword and shield. So yeah, but definitely you guys can give this a try, and keep in mind it is not a perfect build. There is a lot of room for improvement, so hey, I'm open to suggestions. You guys can help me to optimize it to the best of its ability. And keep in mind, whenever the other title updates come along, and talisman, the option of improving talismans are there, the option of improving other things, we can always optimize this build and make it as flawless as we possibly can. So yeah, that would be it for the build, guys, as it relates to farming. Also keep in mind, for your mantle, you can select whatever mantle you want. For me, I went with the Rocksteady mantle. Yeah, you guys know what Rocksteady mantle does, so that was the main reason why I went with the Rocksteady mantle. Gilly mantle is there as well. I mean, that's mandatory, but you guys can select whatever mantle or whichever mantle you prefer. So yeah, the build is open for improvement, guys, as well. So feel free to make your adjustments, and yeah, make your suggestions.